Hi, my name is Sally Lawson and I want to talk to you about paperwork. Now, I started my letting agency journey in 1990 and I now help other letting agents set up, launch and improve their letting agencies. And one of the big things that I get asked so many times is how we deal with all this paperwork. And do you know what? It's quite frightening. It really is quite frightening because when you start as a letting agent, you probably came from either being a landlord or you just came through an employed role in the industry and thought, I could do this, this is easy, I've got a tenancy agreement, I've got terms and conditions, what else do I need? What else do I need? Wow. Well, when you first start as a letting agent, you need to create your letters pack. You need the letters for moving in, moving out, vacates, inspections, checkouts, deposits, returns, authorities, terms and conditions, heads of leases, tenancy agreements, ASTs, licenses, you name it. You need all that in place. And it's got to be right, particularly with all the legislation that's coming out now. Not only that, you also need to make sure that you've got all the stuff that you need in place for HR. If you've got staff, you need all your HR documents, all your HR paperwork, your contracts, your statements of turn, your company car hire policy. All those sort of different things need to be in place to make sure you're compliant. You also need to make sure that you've got the systems in place. So you need paperwork such as processes and checklists. And this is something I use a lot in my business. Although we're fully systemized and we have a computer system which does stop a lot of things happening, we also have process sheets because that's my way of making sure that I've told my staff exactly what I want them to do and to follow that process sheet and do not deviate. But on top of that, you also need checklists, so either you or the manager can run checklists and make sure that your staff have followed those procedures and those process sheets, because there's no point putting a process sheet in place if you're not checking to make sure they've done it. On top of that, what you also need to make sure is that your managers are checking. So it goes on. So you also need things like exception reports. Exception reports are reports generally operated by a computer system. It might be that you do it manually, but an exception report is something which says, this hasn't been done, have a look at this is a problem. And so you need some sort of exception reporting that just does a double take, a spot check to make sure that everything's okay. But the one thing I believe as a letting agency you need is a really, really good setup tenancy file. And I absolutely believe that if you get that bit right at the beginning, the setup tenancy file, the tenancy setup file, absolutely spot on at the beginning, the rest of it is easy. Because if you get the tenancy set up right, and we've got 57-point checklist for a new tenancy file, just to give you an idea of how many bits are on that checklist, but if you get that bit right, you'll have actions in place when the immigration checks need redoing, you'll have actions in place when the tenancy is vacating, you'll have actions in place when you've got to chase the gas cert. All this sort of stuff will be done correctly to make sure that you're protected and, more importantly, your landlord's protected, and that will keep you and them safe. Because ultimately, as a letting agent, you are deemed as the expert, you are the authority, which means if you make a mistake, there's nowhere to go. So make sure that you have the paperwork in place, that you have a big long checklist to make sure that your staff, when they do a move in, are getting that file right. Perhaps consider putting something like 3 monthly audits of your files. We do this, all of our files are checked every 3 months. We do that because once upon a time I did that and realised there was loads of stuff missing. We're going back to 1996 now. But from then I put in a 3 monthly audit checklist because the paperwork is so important. Because let's be honest, Friday afternoon, there's a gas explosion at one of your properties, you get the phone call from the local council, what's the first thing you're going to be looking for? And that's why paperwork is so important, to keep you safe, to keep your landlord safe, and to keep your tenants safe. I hope you found this useful. Sally Lawson from Property Agents Circle. Thank you.